Action.
All right, we want to check the capacitor. We have the power off, but you always want to check and make sure the power's off. A little electrical tester, you get it at Home Depot, anywhere, like could be a lifesaver. This unit doesn't have a pull-out disconnect, which a lot of units you'll see do have that. So again, you just test. Make sure you test this in electrical somewhere where you know electric is at, and make sure it's working. But on our load side here, we are no power. At the disconnect, sometimes technicians will come in behind you and there's a problem with the disconnect and just wire past it. So you pull the pull-out out and you think, oh, there's no power here, but there could be, and very dangerous. So we've double checked, we have no power, and proceed. Remove your wires from the capacitor. Okay. That's where the multimeter is going to come in. Get your leads put on. And you're going to want to set your meter to microfarads. Now you're going to need to, of course, check the capacitor, see what size it is. It'll be listed in UF or in MFD. A lot of times you'll see the UF though. This one is a 10 microfarad capacitor, so you just go between both leads, check, and there we have our 10.1 microfarads. Now everyone's a little bit different, but it'll say 10 microfarads, and it has a plus or minus, and this one's 5%. Some of them are 10%. So if you're, if you're checking it, and as long as it's within that range, that 5 or 10% that it calls for, then it's good. But if not, then you should let the customer know, look, it's working now, but it is low, and it could go out on you soon. That capacitor's good. Hook your wires back up. At this point, we got the power off. You want to go ahead and check all your wire connections. Look for any loose wire nuts, any melted wire ends. If you see them going into the boards or into your heat strip, and that you see the bubbling of the plastic on, the insulation on the wire, then you need to cut that wire back and put a new terminal on it. And again, just make sure all your wire nuts are nice and tight. Look for any frayed wires. Make sure where your wires go through the units are not vibrating and rubbing a hole inside them. That's all good. Now I set the thermostat down there for the fan to come on. So when we put power back to it, just the fan will turn on. You want to check the amperage of this motor. You want to check your panel to see what the manufacturer calls for, and on this motor it calls for 2.64 amps as its normal running load. So set your multimeter to amps. You want to find your common wire for the fan motor, which usually is going to be the wire on your fan relay. On this one here it's blue, so I'll find my blue wire, make sure that's the only wire in your amp probe, get that on. I'm going to turn the power on. This is not a variable speed, this is 3-speed motor, so it's not as important to do this, but on a variable speed or an ECM motor, you will need to put the panel back in front of the blower part in order to simulate that the unit's closed, because then the motor will ramp up and you'll get the full amp reading. On a ECM and on the variable speeds, they have DC wires, so you're not going to check like this one you would on the 3-wire. It'll have 10, 15 wires, so you're going to want to check using the high voltage wires coming into the unit. That'll give you the full load of the motor. It's the only device pulling amps. So checking, we got 1.5 amps, so definitely running below its rated amperage, so we're in good shape there. Go ahead and shut the unit back down. Put the panel back on. You're up here, you're going to want to go ahead and check your ductwork. You want to look and make sure that you don't have any loose connections at the plenum. You want to make sure you don't have any kinks, no tears, no rodents tearing into any ductwork. Of course, check your return. Just kind of look down the lines and see, that it's all in good shape. If not, let the customer know, you have some ductwork. Even if it's in fair condition, even if it's a little older, it's not, it's not torn or anything, but just let them know the condition in which the ductwork's in. Of course, you want to make sure your connections at both sides of the unit, of course, are good too. That you don't have any leaking. If so, spray glue, tape that down. If you have some mastic, mesh and mastic is great too. That'll make sure it stays on there. All right, we'll go down and start the unit up, and we'll check the outdoor unit.